Welcome to this week's episode of the Soto Mojo Podcast. My name is Trevor,
And my name is Ethan.
and we're just a couple of high school baseball coaches from Tacoma who love talking Mariners baseball. Boom, dude. We are back.
We're so back.
We are back. We are alive. We have survived the first 2 weeks of high school baseball, which is historically the most brutal.
in my tournaments.
Dude, you did it, bro. You got the first tournament dub this weekend. Give you a little shout out to your select
little guys
your
that listen.
the little guys you're coaching, which is great.
Yeah, like half of them listen, which is awesome.
What?
Mhm.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. We start league play today, so we're recording on Tuesday, March 12th here in the Manana, and we're pumped to get after it. We're playing Spanaway Lake this afternoon. Ethan rocking the T-Birds hat today, just feeling full of Mount T pride this morning.
Matches my jacket.
Yeah, dude, let's go. Hey, it looks good. I'm just saying that's a sweet hat. But yeah, man, we got lots of stuff to get through. As always, Ethan prepped a lot of the show, and then I came in and added a ridiculous amount because that's me. So let's get after it, dude. First off, kind of some sad news, honestly. Nove Marte. So part of the Reds deal came up in the Mariners org. He got dinged up a little bit, but not due to injury.
Yeah. PEDs. Suspended 80 games for PEDs. I don't know how in the year 2024 you think you cannot get caught.
Right.
I don't understand.
Yeah. So
Not one bit.
if you didn't hear, Marte received an 80-game suspension for the use of PEDs. So again, I mean, on our side, it just makes the Castillo trade better and better. I mean, we have Levi Stout back in the org, and he just got demoted to Tacoma, taking a little bit of news from the Mariners portion there. But we still have him back in the org, and now Nueve Marte isn't even playing. The rest,
Edwin Arroyo's still in single A.
right? So I mean, if that's not winning a trade, I don't know what is.
Yeah, it's just Mariners Twitter. You need to calm down a little bit. Like, you can't go on the Reds post saying that Marte has been suspended, and then the whole comment section's like, Mariners won the trade, fleeced.
Yeah. Let's
Calm down.
Yeah, let's leave that be. But we did see one of the good guys finally signed a deal, a minor league deal nonetheless, but Joey Votto back in the league, which is good. Where'd he sign?
Toronto. Hometown.
Toronto.
Yeah, but so this is kind of weird. Like, they make it seem as if he's going to start in the minor leagues and try to work his way back up,
Right.
which a guy of his pedigree, which is, people don't do that.
Right.
Like, they normally just keep getting released until they find a home somewhere in the majors, but he's going to stick it out even if he gets sent down to the minors.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah. So probably the biggest news that has come out of this last week revolves around the Yankees, and it's mostly bad news. The first one being that Garrett Cole is having multiple scans on his elbow. We just found out this morning he's having another scan. To me, that tells me that they're getting a second opinion because of what they saw. I'm guessing it's bad. I'm guessing it's bad news.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, what I say about the pitch clock. I'm telling you,
Oh,
dude.
it's not the pitch
I'm
clock,
telling you,
dude.
dude.
There's been injuries before the pitch clock.
Not
That
as
all
many.
happens.
Not as many.
Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
No, it's because I think it's more the second part of what you said, which is that guys are training to be bigger, faster, stronger. They're throwing harder than they've ever thrown. They're trying to like perfect their mechanics to throw as hard as they possibly can. And your arm can only handle so much of that. But we are seeing the Yankees. I would not be surprised now to for sure see them sign Blake Snell. That feels like if Garrett Cole ends up on the IL, ends up out for the year, signing Snell feels like the next for sure move, right?
Yeah, oh, for sure. But then, 10 minutes ago, right before we were recording, comes out that they're trying to re-engage in trade talks with Dylan Cease.
Right.
But then I saw a tweet, and it's like, well, nothing's official yet. Garrett Cole still has to do more tests, and we're gonna have more resources and opinions on this from like doctors, whatever. Well, then you wouldn't want to trade for Cease then.
Right.
You knew something.
Totally.
So I don't. Something's definitely up. It's probably for the worst because whenever you hear pitcher and elbow, in the same sentence, it's not good.
Right. As the Mariners
Yeah,
are experiencing right now as well, I mean, we're battling through those, at least we're on the
it's always
positive side of that
elbow,
news.
shoulder.
Right.
That's it.
But also in the same vein with the Yankees, Aaron Judge also could be potentially hurt. So Aaron Boone is kind of keeping everything under wraps. In spring, you don't have to fully disclose everything going on, but it sounds like he might be dinged up too, man. So the Yankees all of a sudden they go get Soto. They think they're going to be
Find
building this
Stroman.
better team. They sign Stroman, and then all of a sudden they're losing some of their firepower right off the bat. And as we found out with the Padres last year, Juan Soto is only one guy. He can only do so much.
I hope for my fantasy team though.
On in other news, we did see. So we talked about another Rosario that I confused for Eddie, but Eddie Rosario actually now signed a deal with the Nationals. That's actually, dude, kind of a savvy move.
Trade deadline.
Yep. I
That's
mean,
exactly what it is.
he signed a $4 million deal with some incentives. More than likely, as
Pretty good deal.
yeah, I mean, good for the Nationals. I mean, they're gonna try to put up a first half and see what happens, but more than likely gonna be trade deadline bait where they'll get some prospects back. So it feels like a good move for the Nationals, good move for Rosario, and we'll kind of see where that ends up. As it per
Did you
Oh,
also
go ahead.
did you see who also got signed by the Nationals? I know I didn't we didn't put it in the notes. Jesse Winker.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he looks like he looks like crap. He looks homeless.
Wow.
It's bad.
Wow.
He grew out his hair. His hair is going to like right here now, and it's curly and eek,
Good for him. You know what? I don't care. Physical appearance, I don't care. Go rake.
go rake,
I don't care.
whatever.
Go rake.
He's still a non-roster invitee though to spring training.
Okay.
But, I mean, if he is 60% of what he used to be, he'll definitely make the Nationals.
Yeah. Well, some league news that does relate to our pitchers and the Seattle Mariners. We did see Bello sign a 6-year extension with the Red Sox for 55 million.
Say his name again.
It's Brian, right? You spell it
It's
incorrectly?
Brian. Yeah, but you said the last name wrong.
Bello?
Bayo,
Oh, it's Bayo.
because it's double L,
Well, it depends. That's not always true.
but it's Bayo.
Okay, well, there's that. So Brian, you spelled the first name wrong, and that got me all goofed up. I thought you were talking about that. So
That is how you spell his name though.
Brian Bayo. That better?
Whatever.
That better. Signed a 6-year extension with the Red Sox, 55 million. And the reason why this has something to do with us is because our young pitching core, so the Gilberts, the Kirbys, right? We're going to be talking about their extensions in the very near future. Hopefully, we'll get them locked up sooner than later. Obviously, we're going to want to keep these guys around. I mean, Kirby's a future ace, if not already. Gilbert also has ace stuff. Those are the 2 for sure. Obviously, we're gonna see how Miller and Wu work out, but for now, just seeing moves around the league with guys that are around that same age and also around the same amount of years that we're probably gonna extend, it is something to keep an eye on for us to know kinda what's coming down the pike for us and maybe why the ownership has been more leery of spending more money.
It is Brian Bayo. Nailed it. Nailed it.
Nailed it. Surprise, surprise, I have a name wrong
No,
and you have a name right. What else is new?
so I mean, so with his extension, I mean, the base is 55 million, but it can go like way up. It can go to in the hundreds,
We are seeing a lot
depending on
more incentive-laden deals for sure.
like top three Cy Young, which I think he's very far from that right now.
Sure.
He's going to be their opening day starter,
Yep.
so the Mariners are going to go
We're gonna
against
see
him on
him.
opening day.
We're gonna see him.
I'm going to see him in person. Woo,
Got him.
got him.
So yeah, man, I mean, it is something just to keep an eye on for sure. We did see, man, the Dodgers are a really weird squad to me, right? They spend
They're
a
built
ton of
weird.
money. They're built weird. They have random guys playing in different places, right? Like Mookie Betts has been playing in right field and all these other places. So all of a
Second
sudden,
base.
right. So all of a sudden, Gavin Lux like just cannot play baseball, has the yips. And so they're trying to move him all over, trying to figure that out. So they're moving him to second. And now we know for the foreseeable future, Betts is going to be shortstop now for the Dodgers.
If he can pull out like a somewhat average defensive season, that is legendary stuff. Going
Yeah.
from right field to second base to shortstop, that's insane. So
Yeah.
yeah,
What other player has done
The
that?
Dodgers are just so like underwhelmed by Gavin Lux's defense. His arm is not good. He has the yips. Like, did you see the clip of him
Yeah.
in the very first game
Oh,
that he
yeah.
played second base,
He has
and he
the
one hopped to throw.
he has the yips.
Well, he fielded a ball
100%.
at his chest and then dropped all the way down to like a 3/4, probably lower,
Yep.
and then like one hopped it. Like yikes!
The yips are real, man.
And then like later, I think the next game, him and Mookie were in the middle infield again, and then a pop up went up and it just dropped and fell right in front of him. And Dave Roberts was like visibly pissed.
Yep. As you would expect.
I mean, yeah, no kidding. I do that with my guys. Like, call it.
Call it.
Hello?
Call it. Take ownership.
That's the
Go
shortstop's
get
fault
it.
too.
Go get it.
Like if it's yeah, go get it. You gotta want it.
So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. Where is Chris Taylor? Is Chris Taylor still with the Dodgers? Where is he at? Why is
Uh,
he not playing shortstop for them?
I don't know. They like looks his bat better.
Well, for sure. I mean, Chris Taylor was not the best infielder with the Mariners. I was always shocked that he ended up like panning out with LA.
Well, because that's what they do.
Right.
So,
Because typical. Some Rays news because we always gotta link back
I
to
hate the
the Tampa
Rays.
Bay Rays somehow. Is of course Cabby is raking this spring, and it looks like he's earned the starting shortstop job.
What a joke.
Isn't that crazy? Well, I mean,
How do you do that?
Caminero is not
Yeah, so Junior Caminero, number 4 prospect, got sent down to minor league camp, and everybody thought he was gonna make the team because he played last year at the end of the year with
right,
the Rays,
right.
and then now Cabby's gonna be the opening day starter.
Who saw that coming? What is
Yeah,
happening? Of course, of course.
I don't understand.
So we'll see.
Like he's hitting tanks.
Right.
Like, did you see the one he hit over the semi green monster?
Yeah.
What?
Where did
Why?
the right?
Where was
The
this?
dude couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat last
Dude, he
year,
couldn't
but
hit out of the infield.
right. And then he had that one bomb against Oakland. I remember like being absolutely shocked. When he hit that bomb to left field, I literally like stood up. I was like, "What just happened?"
I wasn't even
Cabby
watching.
does not have that type of strength, but here we are. Apparently he does.
I had better time to watch the A's.
Well, it was us playing the A's, and I
I
watched
know,
on 162, so here we
I
are.
know, but the A's.
The A's. But staying in the vein of the Rays and the Mariners, we did see the legend, and I will say legend, Mariners legend, Mike Zunino
Retired.
did retire, man. He stepped away. We both had posts that were giving him his props. A little mini story.
Yeah, closer to you than me.
Yeah, man, it was cool. Like Zanino, the last time he got sent down to Tacoma at the beginning of the year to like earn his spot, it was really cool, man. I like was going in Home Depot trying to pick up some stuff from my yard. I look up and I see Mike Zanino, and the first, like before I even like think about it, I literally just go, "Hey, Mike!" And he turns around like fully expecting to see somebody that he knows or like recognizes because who addresses someone like that if they don't know them? And he turns around and he gives me like a puzzled look. And I was like, "Ugh." And then he ended up just being super gracious. We ended up talking for almost 10 minutes. Just told him I was rooting for him, to get back on the squad and get back to form. Obviously, we ended up, he ended up going to the Rays, and then he ended up like putting up an All-Star year and had great
Because of
power
course.
because, of course. But no, man, like Zunino is one of the good guys, man. Like I will forever like just appreciate him. We mishandled him from top to bottom. We picked him up. We pulled him up to the majors before he was ready. When he was young, he always had great defense. His bat was always the big question mark. But dude also hit nukes, right? Like I loved watching Zuni play, man.
Yeah, he was very good.
Yeah.
And then he went to the Rays, and then he he turned into every Rays hitter to ever exist. And then he went to Cleveland,
Yep.
and then he
Didn't
turned
do
into
anything.
every Cleveland hitter to exist in the last
Right.
10 years,
Didn't
other
do
than
anything.
Jose Ramirez
Right.
and Lindor. Um, yeah,
And then retired. So he's stepping away from the game, and his wife put out a really nice post about him. And anyways, it was cool. Some interesting news that also could make a difference to the Mariners, maybe. So there's been lots of buzz on X about JD Davis, and the reason why is because the Giants DFA'd him after they signed Matt Chapman. What do you think? Do they have any odds? I mean, what do you think? The Mariners they could get him on league minimum potentially.
I yeah, I think they're honestly liking Urias and Rojas because it's a 5.5 WAR player, whatever. Um,
Good math.
yeah, great math. for 250 games that doesn't exist in a season. Yeah, but I think the Mariners are going to stick with what they have. If not, they're just going to go with Brian Anderson. So I don't really see a fit there. It makes sense. Like if this would have happened a month ago, everyone would have been like, "Yeah, do it." But now
Well, Brian Anderson's been playing
I think
well.
the Mariners want to reward people that are having good springs.
Yeah, and Brian Anderson's been having a good spring. Honestly, Rios, we're gonna talk about him. He's having a good spring, just in general, man. So that's been interesting.
Rojas is having a good spring.
Yeah, I agree with you that JD Davis, I don't think there's a play for him, but I feel like we did need to talk about it just because Mariners Twitter was all up in arms about just debating back and forth whether or not they should. The last piece of around the league news happened last night, and that is the Mets, of all teams, were playing in a spring training game, and it was really cool, man. We saw Eddie Diaz, man. Edwin Diaz came into the trumpets, which normally in spring training they don't play like all of their normal bullpen entrances and all that. But it was cool, man. I don't even care. Diaz is good for baseball, bro. Like that bullpen entrance is epic. It honestly reminds me of like the Sandman. When I was a kid, you have a couple of those like bullpen entrances that like you just remember. And for this generation, Diaz has got to have the coolest entrance of any closer.
Yeah, that's going to hit on opening day.
Dude, are you kidding me?
Well, that's if the
I mean, the
Mets
Mets are going to suck, but
they're not
like,
going to suck. They're going
what
to
are you
be like
talking about? They had
either
nobody.
they're going they're going to be between
Mauricio got hurt. Here's the deal.
but
Mauricio,
they weren't counting on him as much as like
sure they were. He was going to be their opening day second baseman, probably.
the Mets. They'll just buy whoever.
They haven't bought anybody. They've been keeping it chill. They've been offloading. They don't what pitching, bro. Senga's hurt. Like I don't even know what you're talking about. The Mets are going to be bad.
Their pitching is going to suck, yeah,
Yeah, their
but
whole
I
team is
their
going to
lineup
suck.
isn't horrible.
Their lineup is not even anywhere close to where it was last year, and last year saw where that ended up
But I think they're going to be like between like 10 games under 500 and 500.
potentially.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, Eddie Diaz, welcome back, bro. So glad you're back from injury. I hope you just absolutely crush, especially being in the NL. I feel like I can just root for him fully.
Yeah.
I love that dude. He was so great with the Mariners. He brought a lot of excitement. Didn't he break like the saves record or something like that with the Mariners? I think his last year
The
with us,
team record,
the team
yes.
record, yeah.
Yeah, and then
And then
Scott
and then
Service
we traded him. No, that was
she
a brilliant trade, dude.
yeah.
I understand where it all ended up, but trading when a guy has the most value he's probably ever gonna have, like that makes the most sense in the world.
At a young age.
Yeah. So that's good. But hey, that's all it for around the league. Let's get into our Mariners updates. All right, so not a ton. I mean, we do have some bigger news, but not a ton of volume when it comes to updates. But let's start off with the big one.
Yeah. So I think later in the weekday, signed Ryan Stanek to a one year $4 million deal with some incentives that could go up to 6. Um, Ryan Stanek is a really good pitcher.
He was in 2022,
Throws hard.
so let's hope that he returns back to that
Yeah,
form.
he went 3-1 with a 4 ERA last year in 55 games. I mean, it's not horrible. Fun fact, he was also like, remember when the Rays, going back to the Rays, remember when the Rays started their opener BS?
Yeah,
He was the one that did it all the time. He had 29 games started in
that's
2018.
hilarious.
And then 27 in 2019, or yeah, 27 in 2019. I mean, but yeah, career 3.4 ERA, was a dog in 2022, was a dog in 2021 with Houston.
Yep. We've seen the dark side of Stanek for sure.
Yeah, and he was drafted by the Rays in the first round. So if you know that combo, he can pitch.
Yeah.
You're drafted by the Rays.
Well, the hard part is, and I think this is accurate, is the Stanek trade, or sorry, the Stanek signing feels like it's more of an indication of where our bullpen's at right now. I
Hmm.
feel like they wouldn't have done that if Jackson Kowar stayed healthy, which is the next update. He's going to need Tommy John. And so I feel like we brought in Stanek, one as kind of like a hedge, with Brash and Santos with their potential injury stuff. And then Coer going down with TJ. It just felt like our bullpen started getting really thin really fast. And so bringing in Stanek is a veteran presence. He's been there. He's done that. He has experience. He's won the World Series, right? Like he knows what pitching in the postseason looks like. Like he's a good depth piece. The people that were upset about it, I don't understand at all. Like it's a
You just
great
find a
depth
way to
piece.
complain.
I guess because I'm like, listen, man, when Brash comes back, Santos comes back, We have those 2, Munoz, and then Stanek is like our 4, like, out of the bullpen? Like, that's a great setup.
Yeah, I put in the notes. I'm gonna say this because PG show. The Mariners built the screw you bullpen. We're gonna throw fastballs right by you, and then when you time it, we're gonna throw all the junk in the world.
Right. Yep, we're gonna be, uh, just nasty
And
from
it
the
helps.
bump.
So Stanek is also like a different type of archetype pitcher.
Right, he throws a splitter, right?
He throws a splitter.
Yeah.
Most of our guys throws just sinker sliders.
Most of our bullpen guys throw
Most of our
that, yeah,
bullpen,
yeah.
yeah. And he throws like power fastball and splitter, and he's nasty.
So, kinda the same archetype as our starters, right? Like, that's our starters
Yeah,
mostly are fastball splitter.
yeah. You wouldn't want to pair him like behind. You wouldn't want to have
Castillo,
him pitch like Bryce.
you'd want him to pitch behind Castillo.
Yeah, because Castillo has the lower arm slot. He's
Right,
kind of more over the top.
yeah. So, anyways, man, yeah, and then obviously we already talked about Jackson Coher. That's kind of a bummer. I mean, so basically, what I'm hoping for is that the Jared Kelnick trade was really just trying to get rid of Jared. And honestly, we're not gonna be those guys that bash him. There are a ton of guys on Twitter that dunk on Jared after basically every Braves game, and I'm like, guys, enough is enough. But dude also only has 1 hit this spring.
Yeah,
He's
it's like
batting
one
like
like
.063 or something like that.
might even be lower.
Might be
Yeah.
lower now, but so I'm like, I'm not gonna dunk on Jared because I really have rooted for him, his whole career and really had high hopes for him. I don't get the guys that dunk on him, but also, like, we took a risk getting 2 guys that, we knew probably had injury issues for Jared, and they're kinda betting on maybe their ceiling later, but it is one of those things where it's just kind of a weird situation.
Yep. So now we lost Jackson Coar and Cole Phillips to Tommy John in the same year that we traded for him. I feel like that has to be investigated. Honestly, like, did the Braves know something? Because
Those are both really high prospects too, like Cole
yeah,
Phillips especially, like
like they had to know something
right.
that they weren't 100%, and yeah, that it's kind of fishy to me.
Yeah.
But going back to the bullpen, like I said, they built the screw you bullpen. They could have a time in, you know, late April where they have Munoz, Brash,
Santos.
Santos, Stanek, Spire, Thornton, Sauce, Vargas. I don't. I'm not a fan of Voth, but I mean he'll eat innings out of the pen.
Yep.
Name to keep an eye out for is Tyson Miller.
Yep.
People are calling him the next Seawald. I'm like, calm down,
Easy.
but like he's kind of bought into the pitching philosophy. He's like dropped down a little bit, kind of the same repertoire that Seawald had. But I'm just like, calm down. Like, there's not gonna be another Paul Seawald.
No.
That's gonna be pretty freaking rare.
Yeah.
No, because I mean, Seawald was on a minor league deal, and then he got called up the same day Logan and Jared did, so he
Right.
kind of went over, you know, thrown under the bus a little
There's a
bit.
lot of unique aspects to
Yeah,
Seawald
and then now
that aren't gonna
he
happen again.
became the closer of the World Series runner up.
Right.
That just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Some smaller news that came out, Jason Vossler signed a minor league deal, so that's just some more minor league depth. We did see a picture leak of Julio in the City Connects, and they had white pants, which is good. That's what most people were, like, asking for. The black pants made us look like a softball team.
I'm glad they listened.
Yeah, I'm like, "Dude, thank you for listening." The black pants in and of themselves isn't bad, it's just the context, right? Like, Major League Baseball teams don't wear black pants, that's just not a thing, right?
Yeah,
And so, when you think of black pants, you think of, like, the adult softball league down the street where guys are hitting nukes, right? Like, that's what you think of.
yeah,
You don't see that on Major League Baseball pants, and so, for them to go back to white with the black piping, like, cool.
yeah.
I'm
Perfect.
down with that. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on where you think Bliss fits because people have kind of been talking about this. Like, I don't know if he does. I was looking at a roster comp from the Locked On guys last night, and they don't even have Haggerty making, which we'll talk about.
Well, they're not a fan of Haggerty
Right?
at
They don't
all.
like Haggerty at all, but Haggerty, veteran, present, like right, like he's a good personality in the dugout. Like, there's a lot of things, and obviously Samad Taylor's trying to take his spot. They obviously have Dylan Moore as a super utility in there, which obviously makes sense. But I feel like we have a lot of guys fighting for that just one utility spot of Samad Taylor, Ryan Bliss, Haggerty. Do you think that there's any world that outside of any new injuries that, like, Bliss makes the 26? Like, I don't know if I
If
see it.
no one gets hurt, no.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Like, they're gonna give it to Dylan Moore just because he's, like, been around the longest. He's on the major league
He's also
contract.
paid, yeah.
He also has no options.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, no,
they
Demo is not
could
going anywhere.
they
Demo is not
could,
going
though.
anywhere.
They could send Urias down, but I don't see that
I don't
happening.
think
He
they'll
has an
do that.
option left. I just don't see it. I mean, I think Bliss is also a little bit behind Hags based on, like, loyalty in a way.
Seniority and
Yeah.
yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't see it either outside of an injury. Depending on how Urias starts the year, like, that could potentially be a thing down the road, but we'll see. Speaking of the locked on guys, they did interview Jerry. I feel like they did a good job. I
Oh,
don't
yeah, they did a good job.
Yeah,
Jerry just had a lot of word vomit like
yeah,
usual.
typical.
We didn't really get anything out of it. Like, he said that they were looking for bullpen arms, or, like, they weren't maybe potentially not done in free agency, and then they picked up Stanek the next day.
I feel like the biggest part of that interview was just the update on Brash and Santos that we hadn't really heard yet. It
Yeah.
was this confirmation that those guys weren't gonna be on opening day. We had not heard that yet. So I feel like the biggest news that came out of that interview was that they did a good job. I feel like they asked some good questions. There's people that were like upset with them about the questions they asked. I'm like, guys, you guys are like, they're not gonna.
They're
they
not gonna ask,
they
like,
just got the biggest interview they've ever had on their show ever, and then they're gonna like grill him so that he never comes back. Like that's dumb.
yeah, like, they're I mean, I'm happy that Jerry did it a second time because they did it last year too.
Oh, they did.
Yeah,
Okay, I
they did
did.
it
I
last year
forgot about
too,
that. Okay,
and I remember the lockdown guys, they bashed him at the trading deadline, which they should have,
sure.
you know, fully okay with that.
Yep.
So I'm surprised he came back on, which
Good for
awesome.
him.
Yeah, good for
Good for
him.
him. I did have a jump scare this week where I literally got a tweet update that AJ Pollock was in the clubhouse, and like the way that it was framed, I think it was Shannon,
It
honestly.
was Shannon.
Yeah, so Shannon posts about AJ Pollock being in the clubhouse, and I had a jump scare of like, what? And then come to find out, he's kind of the Tom Wilhelmsen, the bartender, kind of taking a assistant coach role, helping out during the spring. Who knows if it'll lead to anything? But from what we've heard, man, is that Pollock was actually a great dude in the clubhouse, and the guys really liked him. Obviously, it didn't pan out production wise, but I love that our front office is really conscientious about clubhouse vibes, chemistry, bringing in guys that guys listen to, all of that. So kind of cool to see AJ Pollock back in that regard. Um,
It's kind of weird.
it is weird, but like whatever, it's cool. Hey, let's bring up the next one that Trevor was 100% right about. I'm going to talk about myself in the third person because it makes me feel great. Uh, those of you who are clamoring for Hancock to take Wu's spot could not have looked more silly this last week because Hancock came out, struggled. Wu came out, dealt, right? And Wu even struck out guys that were lefties, looked really strong. Everything was working for him. And then Emerson struggled a bit, right? Like, and I want everybody to learn from this, right? It's spring. So you guys are taking one start, one, and then making like these huge judgments about these players when you have no idea the context of what's going on. So chill, right? I'm really glad to see that Wu had a bounce back. Obviously, I don't want Emerson Hancock to struggle, but saying that Emerson should take Wu's spot is just foolishness.
Yeah.
That's silly. That's
Yeah.
not happening.
Yeah, and then moving on, uh, pulling on over the weekend, got to start at second base with all the starters,
Yeah,
most of them.
most of them. I think Zavala
The
was in that
yeah, the
lineup, but
Zavala was instead of Cal, but I mean, he hit 8th right in front of Zavala, which if Cal was hitting, Cal would hit 5th. Cole Young would hit 9th. It makes sense.
yep.
I have no problem with it. And then you put the next one.
Yeah, one more guy to watch, man, in the bullpen. Buttery has been looking really good. It's a guy that has shown that he has stuff, right? Like when he was with the Angels, like he was nasty. And this spring, he's thrown 4 innings, has 5 strikeouts, 0 walks, and Service and Dipoto are both praising him, saying that he's back. Like they've literally saying that he has his stuff working and back. And so I would not be surprised. I mean, honestly, the only real lineup questions for me are the back end of the bullpen. The guys that are more depth pieces. I think Sauce is safe. Like I feel like there's a handful of guys that we know like Voth is going to be there, Thornton's going to be
Sauce
there.
has had a really good spring too.
Sauce has had a great spring. Spire's going to be there, right? So there's going to be like 1 or 2 bullpen spots and then maybe the utility spot, but even then that's probably pretty locked up too.
Yep. Uh, moving on to injury updates.
Woo!
Nope, not a
Oh,
woo.
good. Uh-oh,
No.
did you just have a new update?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
No.
Gregory Santos was scratched from a bullpen yesterday after feeling a pinch in his lat area. MRI reveals a mild lat strain. He will not be ready for opening day.
We knew that.
He felt a pinch in his lat while warming up for a bullpen yesterday.
Yeah.
Um, Jeff Hollander said we think it's not serious, but yeah, he won't be ready for opening day,
That's
obviously.
fine. Slow roll him, man. Slow roll
But
him.
here's the thing, though. Like, this is the second time this has happened. He came in with a shoulder issue. Now this.
I thought he had an elbow issue. That
I,
was what they
I
were
think it
worried
was
about
it
with
was
him in the White Sox.
it was one of those. But like, this is the second time now, so that means Stanek gets moved up a spot. Everybody gets moved up the spot, and then it comes down to uh, like
Well, Brash should be back in April. It doesn't
no, but
sound
I'm
like he'll
saying to
be
start
available
on
for
opening
opening
day,
day. Yeah.
either like Lavera, Adcock, Pizzardo, Bolton, Snyder, Vrabel, Sneed, Buttery, Tyson Miller.
Yeah. We're gonna have to piece it together
Ugh,
early on. But here's the deal.
that
If our starters do what our starters do, we'll see.
yeah, but they're not going to throw 95 pitches out the gate.
No, I know. If they give us 5 or 6 strong and we still have Munoz and we'll get Brash back in April, we'll be okay. A couple other injury issues. So Haggerty has a sore throwing arm. We just learned that on like an off comment. Like literally, Divish like responded to somebody else's tweet, and that was the first I had heard of it. He's starting today at DH, but apparently he has a sore throwing arm. And like I said, Samad Taylor, right, is fighting him for that spot. And then we also had Josh Rojas, who got scratched late against the Cubs. He just had minor neck issues, not serious. So again, not like a lot of serious things. They're just taking it really slow and they're being really careful with guys, which honestly I don't mind at this point in spring. And even if they can't make opening day, man, like I'd rather have guys for the long haul rather than trying to push them to make it work. So
Yeah.
yeah, so let's get into roster cuts. I mean, you want to just blast through
Yeah.
those lists really quick?
So Michael Chavis, minor league camp. So all these names are going to say like they're at a minor league camp, and then some of them have already been assigned to Tacoma. So Michael Chavis, Isaiah Gilliam, Nick Solak, Blake Hunt got sent to Tacoma. My boy Reed Van Scotter, Ty Adcock got sent to Tacoma. Levi Stow got sent to Tacoma. Trevor Kelly and Marcelo Perez.
Yeah, so again, not a huge surprise. I mean, obviously you wanted to see Reed last a little longer with how he's done. And my guess is that he's just going to stay on their radar, man. Like he's probably going to try to earn a spot. I don't think that the story is done with him. It just is probably a little bit later. What are you oohing?
Football news, but it's not
Oh boy,
Seahawks.
not Seahawks news.
Derrick Henry to the Ravens.
Wow,
I predicted that. Let's go.
wow, but yeah, wow, that's going to be wow in a run first offense too. So that'll be
That read option is going to be
that read
insane.
option's gonna be gross with Lamar and Derek. That's disgusting. So as we were getting on the air last week, we were going into a split squad game where we saw a ton of guys getting reps. Man, we saw Garver and Haniger, like they just remain hot, dude. Like
Yeah.
Garver's been raking all spring, which has been fun to see. Haniger's been gotten his power back. Dude, Haniger looks good.
He looks really good. He looks like
So those guys that were worried about Mitch, like
yeah,
you guys are tripping, man. Like Haniger looks great. I still think that they should be smart with how many innings and how many games he plays in. But if he's hitting like this, bro, you got to keep him in the lineup.
every day.
Yeah. Obviously, Logan did get a little bit tapped up by Evan Carter. Evan, was that the game he had a grand slam?
Yeah, I think he had another
Yeah.
home run too. I
Yeah,
think
he
he had
had.
all 6 RBIs.
Yeah, I think he had
Yeah.
six. Yeah, Evan Carter's a beast. And then we saw Gabe Spire have a bounce back, which was great, and Munoz shoving, and then Julio, man. So like Julio came back last weekend, has been getting some at bats. I think he has 11 at bats so far, so not a crazy amount. But he's been doing really well so far. And then on the other side of that split squad game against Cleveland, really the only highlight that came out of that game was that Polanco has continued to perform and
Yeah, in the
well.
notes I put Polanco 2 for 2 and a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, not great. Our game against Kansas City, though, we saw Samad Taylor get another tank. Dude, I'm just saying, like, this guy is like, I actually like this guy, man. I'm fine that
Me
we got
too.
rid of Cabby. I personally was never gonna believe in Cabby.
Would Cabby have hit that? No.
I don't know.
Maybe with the Rays, he would've.
And maybe with the Rays uniform on, he could. All I'm saying is I really like Samad Taylor, so the fact that he's performing well is cool. Um, Bryce gave up dude, Salvy Perez has been a Mariner killer, man. Like, I don't like the last couple of years, Perez has just ate us alive. He gave up or he hit a home run against Bryce.
Yeah. And then, yeah, Michael Massey also went yard, 2 homers in 2 innings. That was a little bit shaky.
Yeah,
And then I had to put this in the notes because it was hilarious when I tuned into the game. Blake Hunt started, and he got picked off, and he had a pass ball in the same inning.
perfect.
So
That's not gonna be
there's
good
a
for you.
reason why he got optioned to Tacoma.
And there's a reason why we went and got Zavala. Just saying, because we had Hunt before him,
Yeah.
remember? Then we played the Angels. Mariners showed some plate discipline. How many walks did they have, E?
They had 11. Well, that's more
Woo!
indicative of the Angels pitching staff than the Mariners' eyes, in
Yep.
my opinion.
And this was the bounce back game by Woo. So Woo came and
There's
dealt
also another
against the
Sebi
Angels.
Zavala defensive masterclass.
He's a
Just saying,
great
man.
defensive catcher, man,
Yeah.
which is perfect. As a backup catcher, that's what you want. You want a guy that's gonna be really solid defensively and then maybe give you something at the plate.
Yeah.
So that's totally fine. Voth and Vargas also look good. So Voth having a good outing finally, and then Vargas we're trying to get him back right, which is good. Then we played the Cubs. This is where, dude,
This is where stuff started picking up a
this
little
is
bit.
where our offense started clicking. Cal hit a 3-run bomb from the right side. Amazing. And if you saw it too, he got all of it.
Oh, yeah, I watched it live.
Yeah.
And then, Urias hit a bomb off Imanaga. He's had the weirdest spring, like, ever. Did I
Imanaga or Urias? Oh no,
Urias.
Urias, like honestly, he's probably the best story in spring because we have no idea what's going on with this
Dude,
guy.
it's like, "Oh, he's playing third base, and now he can't throw. Oh, wait, he's raking. Oh, wait, he sucked in the winter league."
Right. There's
It's
so
like,
many weird things going on, but Urias had a homer off of dude, honestly, we tapped him up.
we
Like
did.
Imanaga got absolutely raked over the coals by our team. So that was cool.
And then Hancock,
That
yikes.
was the Hancock outing I was referring to.
And then
He gave up 6 runs and just a little over an inning pitched.
Passe went 2 for 3 with a double. He's been hitting really well. He's hitting over
He's had a
400.
few errors though. Like he hasn't looked
Well, he's
amazing in
not
the
a good.
field.
Yeah, but
So,
his report is he is not gonna stick in center field.
yeah.
He's just fast.
Yeah.
And then the next game versus Milwaukee, I put in the notes, Mariners actually put together a quality major league lineup.
And weird what happens.
They score a lot off
We
Freddie Peralta.
and we win. Get the dub.
Castillo goes 4 scoreless.
Yep, looked great.
I think he went up to 60 pitches.
Yep.
Yeah, Freddie Peralta gave up 5 and 2 2/3. Julio went 2 for 3, went yard. Garver went 3 for 3, went yard. Spire not look good. He has a 16.8 ERA this spring. He's gotten touched up a lot, especially versus righties, which is also what happened last year. And then my boy Reed Van Scotter with another 2 shutout innings.
Give him his last shout out that he'll probably get on this show for quite some time.
Yeah, probably for another like 2, 3, maybe till next spring.
Maybe till next spring. We'll find out.
Um,
Yeah, then we moved into the San Fran game, and this is where Jorge Polanco, bro, put the team on his back and had 5 RBI with 2 home runs. One of them was a grand slam.
Oppo at
Oppo
that
grand slam.
stadium, and it's
Dude,
not small.
all I'm saying is if we finally get some production out of second base, dude, thank God.
They haven't had a good second baseman since Robbie
Since
Cano.
Robbie Cano, man, it's just been a consistent
People don't
question
appreciate
mark.
Robbie Cano either.
Dude, when people talk about yeah, people are like, "Oh man, Seattle's never had any free agents come in and do well," and I'm like, false. Robinson Cano and Nelson Cruz, both of those guys came in and did just fine when they came in as free
Yeah,
agents.
there's also not that big of a sample size.
True. That same game though, so Polanco was hot. Dude, Cal remains hot. He had a double and a triple. Johnny Farmello, who we talked about a ton last week, he had his first home run. Kirby, the jury is different, right? Like you wrote in the notes that he got roughed up. He did. I mean, he gave up 2 runs. He also had 5 Ks.
But he
Again,
gave up 4 hits in 2 1/3.
I'm more worried about is his stuff working? And he came out after that game and said that he's intentionally trying to get his breaking stuff to break off the plate, which thank God. Because I love that he fills up the zone. And I talked about this a little bit on X. Like, I love that he fills up the zone, but also like he needs to have his breaking pitches break off the plate. He needs to get more chase, which he does not have in his game. And I think he's just trying to work that out. Again, it's spring. Like I'm totally fine with him working on this kind of stuff. I don't think anybody in the organization is concerned about Kirby. I just don't.
Yeah, uh, not a lot of people should be either. Then our final game, Um, that occurred on
Last night.
Monday. Yep.
Yep.
Logan Gilbert got shelled again. Beautiful. John Power Crawford with his first home run of the spring.
Which
And
that is his first ever home run in spring training. Did you know that?
oh, I did not know
In
that.
all of his years in the pros, he has never hit a home
Okay,
run in
that's
spring
insane.
training until this
That's
year.
actually insane.
I saw that stat last
And
night.
then Mitch Haniger had 2 more hits.
Yep.
I mean, he's
But Yu Darvish was nasty. He carved us up. We lost by a lot. It was not fantastic.
yeah.
So there's
We
that.
also gave up like 13 runs. Another double-digit run game.
There you go. Well, why don't you run through our stat leaders really quick? That's a update and recap of all the spring training games the last week. Go
Yeah,
ahead and give us the stat leaders
fly
as of
through
now.
this. So games played, Cole Young, Locklear, Marlowe, and Clase all have 11. Clase leads the team in hits with 8.
That's funny.
Locklear and Canzona, 3 doubles, lead the team. And then triples, Carmelo, Urias, and Cal. Crazy 3 names to put together. Home runs, Garver, Haniger, Polanco, Raleigh, and Samad Taylor have 2. Um,
Can you guess?
RBIs,
Can you guess the guys that lead our team in strikeouts from the offensive side? There's 4 of them that are tied for with 8. I'd be very this is going to be impressive if you can pull these 4 names.
Chavis,
That is one of them.
Blake Hunt.
Nope.
How many of them are like major leaguers?
One of the 4.
Garver.
Nope.
Mm, that was a tough
You get
one.
one more.
No.
You get one more
That's
guess,
okay.
and then we're moving on.
Position. What do we got here?
Center field.
Oh, Class A.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
one, and then there's 2 more. One major
Uh,
leaguer, one minor leaguer.
Locklear.
Yep.
One, and then the major
Ooh,
leaguer.
this is it right here, dude. Can you pull it out? The
um,
crowd is in eager anticipation on the edge of their seat.
Cade Marlowe.
No. Nope. Demo.
Whoops.
Demo. All right, keep running through the stat leaders here. You're all good. Here we go.
Yeah. And then Polanco and Cal lead the team with 8 RBIs. Demo leads in walks, so that's why I didn't put him for
He
strikeouts
also
because he
leads
leads
for
in walks.
strikeouts.
And then Clase and Bliss both have 3. So moving on to pitching, it's the same 4 that led the league in games last time. So Gerard Bayless, Blas Castano, Mauricio Oliveira, and Colin Snyder, 5 games.
They lead the league, huh? Wow, that's a lot.
Well, not the league, but the team.
Listen,
uh,
man, I get so many things wrong. Like I have to give you a hard time when you get one wrong.
dude, I thought because he leads the team in walks. I'm like, no way, he leads in
He
strikeouts
does
too.
both, apparently.
Because he doesn't leave in games played either. Castillo is 8 innings pitched. He's been doing pretty well. And then my boy, Reed Van Scott, leads the team in strikeouts with 11. He's just pitching in these 2 inning spurts in the 8th and ninth inning against the
Against
single A
yeah,
guys,
yeah.
and then just carving them up.
Which is good. So
It's really
cool.
good.
Get him keep him rolling. All right, let's get into our player of the week. I'm always going to be a little hesitant about like going with the guys that are kind of the obvious ones, but I'm going to go with the obvious one, dude. Julio has had a phenomenal entrance to spring training. He had an error his first game, and that's probably the only blemish that he had so far this spring. He's batting 455, a 1.357 OPS, 538 slug. He only has 11 at bats, and he already has 4 RBIs. Like, dude is hitting in really clutch spots. He's barreling stuff up. He's looking like himself. I'm really glad they slow rolled him a little bit with the sore hand. Bro, Julio is, I think he is going to come out and give a potential MVP performance this year, man. I'm just saying, it's not even a hot take. I think he's really going to take the next step this year. And so to see him come out the gate hot in spring is, I think, only going to be good things for us.
Yep. And then I took Trevor's originally. I
Yep.
picked Jorge Polanco just because I put in the notes
I
first.
was psyched to talk about Polanco today, and Ethan just took that from me. So
I mean,
you better bring the heat right here. Bring it.
I mean, you can add to it, but I've already said like he leads. He's like at least top 5 in almost every single stat. Um, he's raking this spring. He's hitting to all fields, by the way. He's hitting 412 with a 545 on base and a 1369 OPS. So that means he has around an 800 slugging. Do the math there. I haven't heard anything bad about his defense. Like I said, hitting all fields. We knew his eye was good. We knew his bat to ball skills were
Dude,
good.
and that grand slam going oppo told me everything I needed to know.
Dude, that was insane. I mean, that ball probably doesn't leave in April in Seattle.
Sure.
Maybe not until like late May at least. But I mean, it's still a double.
Right.
Um, he's a lefty. He's at best lefty. So pulling the ball helps in Seattle. He can also hit on the road, which is awesome.
And he's
But
clutch, man, and that was true for him in Minnesota. Like, he's been hitting in really, like, clutch spots too.
just a dude.
Hey, listen, if anybody gets a hit with the bases loaded with the Mariners, like, already God mode
That's
for
not
me.
named JP Crawford.
Right, that after last year, any type of production with the bases loaded, like, just putting the ball in play, that to me is already a win.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Um,
Because last year, we got the bases loaded a billion times and then could do nothing with it, which led to inner fury, so
so they also mic'd him up for spring training day, and it was great. I mean, that guy's just he's very likable, which is awesome.
yep.
Um,
Polo.
I
Polo.
would buy his jersey, but
Those jerseys are
jerseys, but
trash.
jerseys, yeah, they look. You know how I feel about them.
All right, let's move on to our prospect insider. All right, so my prospect isn't really a prospect. You already kind of called me on this, which it is whatever. His name is Michael Papierski. Papierski?
Yeah, there you go.
Papierski, there we go. Michael Papierski. The reason why I wanted to bring him up is if you've been tracking spring training at all, you've actually seen his name pop up quite a bit. So this guy that was drafted to the Blue Jays in 2014, and then again in the Astros in 2017, he didn't break into the MLB until literally 2022 with the Giants, and then he got traded to Cincinnati. He's only played in 39 games total, which is why I still kind of have him in that prospect range for me. But the reason why I wanted to bring him up is because this spring he's been producing. He's actually a catcher, but he's been playing first base for us in certain spots. He leads the team in batting average with 462. He has a 1.127 OPS. But here's the deal: I don't obviously this
That's
dude's
pretty low considering he's hitting
right,
462.
right. So for me, I look at it and go, is he making the team? No. Is he a name that we even need to know? No. But I did see that his name has been in a lot of stat sheets for our spring training games.
The Rainiers are gonna be nice.
So, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's probably where he slots in, and that'll be some nice depth back there. Obviously, he's competing with Locklear for that first base spot, so we'll see kind of how it ends up. Do you want to add anything here?
Uh, Other than the Rainiers are gonna be stacked. No.
Dude, the Rainiers are gonna be stacked. It's
Yeah.
gonna be really fun. Honestly, this is probably the most excited I've been. I mean, I literally live like 4 minutes from Cheney, so I'm excited to go see a lot more Rainiers games for sure.
Yeah, I'm down. I haven't. I didn't go to a single one last year.
That's a travesty.
The only time I went to Cheney was for the high school game.
Yeah, Rainiers game is fun. Yeah, we're playing at Cheney again this year, man. It's gonna be awesome. All right, let's get into our hot corner. So I kind of feel like neither one of these are super hot. I feel like these are both like lukewarm from both of us.
There's just not much to. It's weird with the Mariners because they're not like other teams now where it's like you kind of know what their roster is gonna be. So, I mean, there's not a lot to go from. I mean,
So give
the
me
cut.
yours, then. Let's
Okay,
give
okay.
me yours. Give me your hot corner.
So mine is
Your
that
lukewarm.
Kenzone is gonna end up starting over Rayleigh.
Which I tried to start that conversation on Twitter, and we got some guys like debating each other in our comment section, which is hilarious. But man, Canzone has been getting a lot of starts in left field. He's been raking. He's been a name that like coaches and players are all saying has one of the hottest bats in camp. So it kind of seems like it's his position to lose, man.
Yeah, and Rayleigh has really struggled.
Yep.
He hasn't. He's been very underwhelming. Another reason why I can't stand the Rays. Um, yeah, man. I think it might be opening day. Like he might start
Yeah.
over opening. I mean, Fangraphs right now has Canzone listed in the 7th slot with Ty France hitting 8. So he's between Mitch Haniger and Ty France hitting 7th. With now Luke Rayleigh slotted on the bench. Yeah, Luke Rayleigh's 1 for 18 this spring with an RBI and a stolen base. He has a 190 on base percentage, a 246 OPS. So that one hit was a single. Not great
Not great.
because we thought going in, we were like, hey, the batter's eye in Tampa sucks. He was better away than he was at home. He hit well in Seattle last year when we played against, when he played against us. I'll credit he hasn't played in Seattle yet.
And at worst, he's a depth piece, which is fine. The fact that
Yeah.
he could be a
And
backup
you
corner
only gave up
outfielder,
Cabby for him.
right? You gave up Cabby, who wasn't going to play with us anyway, might not even make the major league club. And then Rayleigh is now our backup first baseman, backup corner outfielder. Like, it's not bad to have that depth. I mean, even Julio came out the other day and said, I don't know if you saw that press
I
conference
did.
where he was like, dude, we're just categorically, I don't feel like we're deeper. We are. We're just deeper. And I think that's really important leading into this year. Is last year we did not have a lot of margin for injuries or anything going on. Like,
Yeah.
as soon as there was an injury, all of a sudden we're batting a utility guy in our DH spot, and it was a
And like
mess.
ninth. Yeah.
It was a mess. This year we have depth, man. We have a lot of guys that are there, and if Rayleigh just provides some depth, like, so be it. So my hot corner is about Urias, man. I think he's going to be okay. I know his arm hasn't been incredibly awesome, but the bat has been plenty good. He's been producing at the plate, and obviously he brings that right-handed presence. I think he's going to be just fine. I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think he's going to be on the other end of that platoon. I think him and Rojas are going to be a solid platoon, and then we'll see if either one of them really you know, takes the starting spot more frequently than the other. But as of right now, I'm totally fine with that platoon.
Yeah. People were concerned, like yesterday. Did you see the throw that he made yesterday?
Yeah, it was bad.
And then he proceeded to make like a barehanded play on the run, like the very next inning.
Yeah,
And like it's just such an odd spring. Like
for him
it's
especially.
yeah, it just flip flops back and forth. Well, he sucked in the winter league, and then it's like, okay, but now he's hitting in spring, and he hits a homer off Ibanaga, and he hits a triple the other day, and you're like, what is going on? But he's slow, and then now it's like, well, he's DHing, and then now he's playing third base, but his arm sucks,
And then he's hitting bombs.
and he's hitting bombs, and
Oppo bombs, by
it's
the way.
yeah, it's just like, what what is this is like this is
Who is this
baffling.
guy? Who is this
Like
guy?
this is like it's just chaos. It's just a bunch of flip-flopping uneven parts, like, nothing goes with each other. It's funny, though.
It is funny. It's entertaining.
It's just so odd. You're like, "Well, he can play third base. His arm sucks. Oh, his arm sucks, but he's hitting. Oh, well, now last winter he didn't hit, but he's hitting now." And it doesn't make sense.
Who knows? Who knows? We shall see. Well, hey guys, thank you guys so much for listening. As always, if you guys have any questions or comments, call us 253-201-4364. Go follow us on X. Go follow us on all your favorite social media platforms. Go follow us on YouTube. We're getting a bigger presence on YouTube, it feels like, by the day, which is fun. Lots of more subscribers and more viewers. It feels like each episode that goes up, we're getting more and more viewers, which is fantastic. Go check us out, man. Thank you guys so much for listening. We feel blessed that you guys are. We have an exciting week of high school baseball in front of us. Can't wait to get going on that. You have anything else to add, E?
Nada.
Perfect, man. Well, this is the Soto Mojo podcast. Have a good week.